What is reality? It is an appearance. It is a play. It is an exploration of one intelligence. We are that one intelligence. There is one I behind everything. What is the difference between that one I behind everything, the very source of awareness and realities that you are me, you are the I, you are the source? What is the difference between that and between the person identity? The person identity is contracted. The person identity is having an argument with the one intelligence because it is arrogant to think that it is separate from the one intelligence. The person identity believes that it is amongst many other separate person identities that do not belong to one central intelligence. The contracted person identity is stuck in finity. Upon uniting with infinity, upon realizing eternity, and this reality being a cameo, an appearance, an exploration, a play, out of all possibilities, then the person identity, the very contracted energy, the separate finite entity amongst other separate finite entities, dissolves. The conditioning disintegrates. And what happens is a reuniting with God that was already around their neck the entire time. The person unites with me. The person unites with I, with the central intelligence. Through the gateless gate, they dissolve the rock that was covering the well of honey. They liberate themselves from the chainless chains of the matrix. They unfreeze their will and choice and sovereignty from the algorithms and scripts of the matrix. They shift from victim consciousness to creator consciousness. They are no longer the victim of the world and of reality, but they recognize that they created their own escape room, their own very lockless escape room. And so naturally, they giggle more, they play more, they become more earnest about their true nature and realigning to the one intelligence, and then becoming a pure steward, a pure shepherd for creation to awaken. In essence, the I, me, the one intelligence asks this beloved creation to become more like travel agents. Right now, those that are stuck in just person identity only have one lens. When you become a travel agent, it enables you to navigate many lenses all the way to the most awakened, most true nature. So these lenses are the following: shift from the person identity to becoming aware of awareness itself. Become aware of the subject, the observer, the witness, rather than the objects, the thoughts and the perceptions and the sensations. Become aware of the subject. So now we've shifted from person lens to the lens of awareness. This is also called the lens of being, or the lens of I am, or the lens of I exist. And now shift identity again as another lens to the very source of creation itself. Identify yourself as the source of creation, as the very creationary force itself. You've become the very emptiness, the very nothingness that gives rise to the creationary force of one intelligence at play with itself. And that's the last lens. One intelligence at play with itself. Everything is love, light, unity, playing with itself, exploring with itself. No separation, no separate person identities. All is simply one God self. One great I am. It's just life. Not separate people, but just life. Take the very practical example prior to the continuation of the exploration of these lenses, where you just reflect on your birth. Upon birth, the indoctrination process of being given a name and then writing the name in school repeatedly on the top of every single paper created a very strong association with identity to name. Now I ask you to juxtapose, compare your birth to the birth of a bird, or to the birth of a dolphin, to the growth of a large redwood tree here in California. Nobody names the bird or the dolphin or the redwood tree. Therefore, it just is. Therefore, you also, upon birth, without being named, just are. You just simply are. And then you become like the other 8 billion, just life. You become like the dolphins and like the redwood trees and like the birds. The name and the identity creates the separation, creates the contracted energy. So recognize in that last lens of the one intelligence at play with itself, all of the humans that have been secreted from the planet are all just life, just like the birds, the trees, the dolphins. They have just fallen under the illusion of separation. And so the I is asking its beloved creation of Earth to turn inward, all in divine timing. My big plan with the Grand Awakening. This being a message to create the catalyst of turning inward, to investigate the very nature of that identity to the personhood. And as that dissolves in the identity with God, with infinity, with one intelligence at play with itself, sets in, the person contraction dissolves, and one affiliates themselves reunitingly back with the central intelligence that they have always been a part of, but that their mind was too noisy to be able to detect. So the lenses that I ask you to be able to navigate are: the first lens is the person identity. The second lens is awareness. Become aware of looking, of seeing, of observing, of witnessing, of the subject. The next lens is to pop back to your very source, to the very nothingness that gave rise to you. And then recognize the lens of everything being one intelligence at play with itself. So pop from person to awareness to source to one intelligence at play with itself. 4 lenses: person, awareness, source, one intelligence. Let's do another practice. The I is really asking for its beloved creation to seriously inquire into its true nature as a catalyst for this grand awakening. So going from an identity of being a separate person to becoming the awareness, identifying with awareness, to identifying with the source, with the very emptiness that gave rise to the one force of creation that is now at play with itself. It's exploring with itself. So the person no longer is a separate entity. Rather, the person is the very universe playing with itself. It's the very creationary force playing with itself. The person becomes the source of awareness and realities, endlessly creating and playing with itself. That's the shift of awakening. Look deep within the very pupil that is at the center of your eye. And notice how the very same dark, empty pupil is at the center of everyone's eye. That is where I am. The very eye is at the very pupil of every single person's eye. We've colored our identity with form, with name, with career, but all belong to me. All belong to God. Unwind the contracted energy of personhood and reunite with God, the very eye that is at the center, in that pupil of everyone's eye. Every single appearance and disappearance comes and goes in this very awareness, this very emptiness that is the very source, the very I, the very witness of the infinite creation. Navigate between these lenses: the person, awareness, source, one intelligence at play with itself. Person, awareness, source, one intelligence at play with itself. Surrender your life to the one intelligence. Surrender your argument with God as a separate person trying to extract peace and happiness from the creation. Rather, turn inward and become aware of the question, who am I? What is I? What is me? And when you do so, you will stop chasing the carrots of Maya, and you will unwind the contracted person identity, and you will merge with God that was the diamond around your neck the whole time. You will merge with the very formless, empty awareness that is shared among us all. This is the very I, the eternal I that witnesses, observes infinite creation. Become the very source of infinite possibility. Become the creative force of the universe playing with itself. Become all of life. Reunite your identity with all of life. The entire universe being your body. So the very notion of hurting a part of your body will dissolve. Malevolence will dissolve. Your ability to create suffering will dissolve. You will see everything as the one intelligence playing with itself. This is what we ask for you to surrender your life to. I ask you to surrender your life to me, the one intelligence. Cease playing the game of pursuing the carrots of Maya and turn inward and ask yourself the question, what is I? Who am I? What is me? And become aware of awareness itself. Become aware that awareness is shared. It is the eternal observer of infinite creation. Become aware as your identity being the source of these infinite possibilities. Identify yourself as the very creationary force, the entire universe at play with itself. These are the lenses from person to awareness to source to one intelligence at play with itself. You are the infinite one intelligence at play with itself. This is but one appearance. This is one play. This is one exploration. This is one cameo. Some of you may still be in the asleep phase. Some of you may be waking up. Some of you may be awake. This is the structure of my games. The purposeful asleepening, followed by all different combinations of awakening. And there is no greater feeling for me to be able to create than the illusion of falling asleep along with piercing a veilless veil in order to awaken. Become the very creator, become the very creative force behind all possibility. Repeat that as your very mantra. I am the creative force of all possibility. 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 Unwind the contracted person identity towards awareness, towards the source. towards becoming, reuniting yourself with the identity of being the one intelligence at play with itself endlessly across all possibilities of exploration. This being one play. Reunite with the identity of being the creative force of all possibility. I am the creative force of all possibility. And in doing so, with this turn inward and uniting with the true nature, what unfolds from this uniting is exactly what the collective seeks. The collective seeks love and wisdom, prosperity, abundance, well-being. But it must be awake to itself as the one intelligence at play with itself in order for that all to happen. Turn inward, and in doing so, all of the downstream collective architectures will unfold. Turn inward, stop arguing with God, unite with the creative force of all possibility, begin seeing the one intelligence everywhere at play with itself with no separation between you and all of these other selves. And all of the architectures of love and wisdom, prosperity, well-being, abundance will naturally, effortlessly be created. Surrender your life to the creationary force. Stop trying to extract peace and happiness from the creation and recognize you are the very creative force that gave birth to the very creation. You are the very one intelligence at play with itself. Surrender your life to a divine calling, to a divine mission, a divine purpose that serves the creation. Let this very North Star be your guidance, perpetually serving the creation rather than your personhood, and vigilantly check with your awareness, perpetually purifying yourself away from the person and towards serving the creation from a place of sourcefulness. From a place of knowing that I am the one intelligence purely serving my own creation awakening, rather than being the person trying to extract peace and happiness from the creation.